Should you buy Wolfenstein The New Order in 2022? Wolfenstein isn't a franchise I see often mentioned when talking about quality FPS single-player games. It's usually the Halos, the Crysis, hell, even Far Cry games in some fan bases, but that's not because of lack of quality. But is Wolfenstein The New Order worth it in 2022? Why shouldn't you just start with the sequel or just play something else? Well, let's find out. Thank you all for the support, guys. 9,200 subscribers. It's just insane. It feels so surreal. Thank you. Thank you. I can't say thank you enough. Thank you. We'll be talking narrative and gameplay with no spoilers, and the gameplay you are seeing is from my second playthrough. Wolfenstein The New Order is a FPS story-driven experience set in an alternate version of history in 1960 where quite literally everything went wrong. You play as William Joseph Blazkowicz, or BJ, which is a unique name to say the least, and must reform a resistance to a group that I can't mention because YouTube will destroy this video, but you know what I'm getting at. 1960, alternate version of history, you know which group we're going to be fighting. If you were to just go off that description, you might think that Wolfenstein is just another shooter set in an alternate reality. That's the only thing that makes it different, and it will try to be edgy, but guess what? It does not pull its punches at all. Wolfenstein The New Order is one hell of a shooter with some great characters and world building. Obviously a game like this tackling the subject matter it is would be controversial, but I'm not going to talk about that, and to be honest I'm more interested in how the game was made and how good the story is rather than the controversy, even though some YouTubers will love that. They'll just talk about the controversy all day because views. I went into Wolfenstein a few years back really expecting a cool little shooter from a franchise I really knew nothing about, but this game just explodes in terms of creativity and the over-the-top antics, while somehow making the characters down to earth but also over the top, and that is very difficult to do, and it was done in spades here. BJ, while a fairly simple character, is so much fun to play as. He's a killing machine while also having his limits. The rest of the cast of characters are super interesting as well, and are all built on while in your base of operations, which I will talk more about in the gameplay section, but each character gets their own little dialogue sections, some of which can be missed, but I really don't think you should, because some of it is genuinely hilarious. There are 16 chapters in total, all varying in length, and Wolfenstein doesn't give you a minute to breathe, and I love it. It's a non-stop action thrill ride, but you can play stealthy if you want to, but the thing that really helps Wolfenstein avoid being bunched into the group of mediocre shooters is style, and my god, this game has style. Wolfenstein just oozes style from its cinematography, art, soundtrack, sound effects, and characters all being heightened to match this insane version of history these guys have come up with. The soundtrack absolutely slaps, and Wolfenstein The New Order would not be the same without it. The art style, while not aging particularly well, is clear, and you know exactly what you're playing the moment you see it. The cinematography never lets you breathe. It's almost always in close-ups, and if you do get the occasional wide, it's because shit's going down, you know, brain would explode if the camera was any closer, and that's not a negative. That kind of close-up style always works for me, and I just love it because Mr. Robot, if you haven't watched Mr. Robot, you should watch Mr. Robot. I felt something while playing Wolfenstein, which is rare these days. Now, as always, it's not perfect. I can definitely see some people complaining that the story was jumping all over the place, and for some it may be unbelievable, but if that's the case, I just don't think the game is for you. Sure, it can be jarring jumping from London to Berlin in a matter of seconds, or, well, I can't spoil anything, but you'll be going a lot further than Berlin in this game, and it really caught me off guard when I first played it, but I can totally see people not liking this story because of that, but it is what it is. I really liked it. Is it some sort of Oscar masterpiece? No, it doesn't have to be. It's the complete opposite of what would be an Oscar masterpiece to some people. It's just an action thrill ride. I loved it. Wolfenstein is easily one of my favorite campaigns I've played in a while, but it's not just because of story. Let's get to the meat. Let's get to the gameplay. Wolfenstein The New Order has a gameplay loop that is beyond addicting, albeit a little too easy on normal difficulties. You start a mission often through a set piece and then traverse the level through stealth or all-out action-packed violence, wiping out every enemy you see while looking for armor, health packs and upgrades for your weapons, and it's almost perfect. Gunplay is pretty damn great. Each weapon you use feels very different, varying in recoil, sound, and effects that make each weapon choice feel satisfying and useful in their own little ways. Some games always forget the idea of usefulness. For example, you're in a corridor surrounded by enemies. You could use the assault rifle, which, you know, it's the most simple way to take those enemies out, or you can equip the shotgun with shrapnel bullets and shoot the wall to take the enemies out around the corner without even peeking. It's so damn cool. You have various upgrades for your weapons, which you gain through either specific chapters or finding those upgrades in the levels, as well as upgrading perks. The way the perks work is less about earning a point and using it on whatever you want. You actually have to earn the upgrades through gameplay. So if you want some stealth upgrades, you better play stealthy and earn those perks. Or if you want to be a dual wielding machine, you better start dual wielding as soon as you possibly can. And I love this system. It's not the first game to do it. If I remember correctly, Skyrim has a very similar system, but I think the system is perfect for these linear story driven games. It feels way more natural than the traditional skill point system many games choose to use at the moment. Enemy variety is also great. You have normal soldiers, dogs, giant robot dogs, grenade launcher enemies, giant machine soldiers, as well as a few others, so you're never bored when taking these guys on. And you will always find new ways to take them out. On my second playthrough, I had to take on 2 mini boss enemies, and I noticed you can actually drop these blocks onto them to take them out instantly, and my god, I felt cool, until I realized pretty much everyone figured that out on their first playthrough, and then I felt dumb. That's the circle of life, I suppose. Level design I thought was fantastic. I'm not a game developer, so I can only tell you what I liked, and I genuinely don't think there's a bad mission in Wolfenstein The New Order. I loved every last one of them, and they all bring something new to the gameplay loop, like driving a mini-sub or being able to use one of those giant robot soldier things that are scary as fuck when you're facing them. Each level feels like someone's mini passion project to me. A better way to describe it is that every level feels like it could be the final level in the game because of the set pieces and overall quality of each encounter of those levels. It feels like a game every time. You're not doing one boring walk around and tail this person. It's never like that. You go in, you get a set piece, and you do your thing, and you get out. I love it. It's so simple, yet so effective. The third main mission in the game had me drive to London with a side character and proceed to blow a giant hole into this building within 1 minute, to then be chased by a robot dog and just about survive, and then have to shoot 50 plus enemies, all varying from normal soldiers to giant rocket soldier dudes. And that was just the first 5 minutes of that one mission, and there's like loads more. It's like a 20-minute mission, and it just goes and goes and goes and goes and goes. You're never going to be bored. Unfortunately, there are some issues. The AI is pretty damn stupid at times. On normal, they do tend to just run at you sometimes and are easily mowed down. You could just sit still and just pew, 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 and they're all dead. It's quite simple, so I do advise people, if you're going to play on normal difficulty, to run around and have some fun, but if you don't want to do that, play harder difficulties. Also, incredibly easy to play this game using stealth. The stealth system is way too lenient on normal difficulty. Like, they will fully stare at you, this 6-foot muscle beast with 10 weapons on your back, and go, that might be the guy we're looking for. Oh, where did my boss go? Oh, that's him on the floor. There's a lot of blood. Nah, he's probably just taking a nap. He definitely didn't kill him. Definitely didn't kill him. We definitely shouldn't alert everyone in this level that you are here. Definitely not. We should not do that. It's just way too easy, so if you do play Wolfenstein The New Order, play on harder difficulties. I know I'm going to in a few days. I wanted to get through the whole game for the second time on a normal difficulty, keep it consistent for you guys. I will be playing it on a harder difficulty in the coming days. So, should you buy Wolfenstein The New Order in 2022? Well, I think it's obvious that I really liked it, but if you're not into FPS games, well, this is an FPS game, so you probably won't like it. But to everyone else, I think you should absolutely buy Wolfenstein The New Order in 2022 and give it a shot. I really think it's worth it. Thank you for watching.